Welcome back for the second mailbag answer. I'm John from dumbestdnd.com. This time we're taking a look at the question from the Jittery Beholder, who asked, your thoughts on using DMPCs. This can be a tenuous topic, so toss your thoughts in the comments below and let's see if we agree. For those who don't know, DMPC stands for Dungeon Master Player Character, so essentially a standard PC that is controlled by the DM. Personally, I never use DMPCs and would generally advise folks to steer clear of using DMPCs, especially new DMs. It's too easy to run them poorly and overall take away from the game. For me, even in cases where an NPC ends up in combat fighting with the PCs, I have the party run that individual themselves. An example. Our first time playing was Wild Sheep Chase, which features a half-orc named Guz as an enemy. After cutting off his toes, the party rogue intimidated him into leaving the town and heading to the coast. He did so. We ended up picking Ghosts of Saltmarsh as a main campaign, and Guz was the hook back into the party. He pals around with them now most places, and when combat starts, I've got a character sheet to give to the party. They're also aware of this and usually decide ahead of time if Guz will be there or not. Now, why don't I use DMPCs? Well, first I find that DMPCs cross way too far into the mental gymnastics of metagaming, and I don't want to involve myself in that. I have a hard enough time keeping my own thoughts straight, so to think about a player character not knowing what I already as the DM know, and then trying to not avoid that is incredibly difficult. Even saying it out loud is tough for me right now. I know everything in the dungeon. I know everything around the next corner. I know where all the traps are. And so to hide that from myself, maybe I'm lazy or maybe I'm not seeing the fun in it. But it just seems really difficult to do. I also view the PCs as the stars of the show, and I don't want to take away from that. I don't want them to have to think about a character that the DM is playing and defer to them all the time. Again, they are the stars of the show as the PCs, and so I would like to respect that and allow them to do what they want to do. We'll get to some tips on that in a moment. And I might be alone here, but I'm way too focused on the tactics and control of the enemies to want to run the other side of it. Again, call it laziness, call it what you will, but at the end of the day, I have way too much going on to begin with. A lot of math involved, a lot of number tracking, to then be tracking someone who is opposing me as the DM, or I guess, yes, we're not players against the DM, but someone who is actively working against the things that the DM has built. I'm already not great at compartmentalizing. I think this would be too difficult for me, so maybe that's why I avoid it. In cases where you only have two PCs, you might want to create a DMPC to assist them. If you insist, the DMPC shouldn't be captaining the team. They should take a back seat and be open to suggestions from the other two. Where you might get into trouble with this is if you want to be the standoffish PC that does their own thing and marches to the beat of their own drum, so watch yourself. If you are planning on running a DMPC, be sure to talk to your players and set some boundaries. Check in after the DMPC was a huge part of the action to see if your moves overshadowed theirs. Also, you as the DM can just have the player characters run two characters at a time. This is very similar to how Baldur's Gate 3 is. If you have only two people playing through the game, you also get two sidekicks. So a total of 4, which most adventure modules are fine with. So consider that as well and talk to your players about maybe they want to create another person, a set of brothers or a set of sisters or just siblings. Who knows the relationship between the two, but maybe they want to create both characters. So now instead of you having to control a DMPC, they can go off and do their own thing, make two characters, and work both of those at the same time. Now, these views are my own, but I feel like many will agree. If you've got more questions, toss them in the comments, and I'll work them into another edition of the mailbag in the future. Until then, roll high, stay ridiculous, and thanks for watching.